So today I'm going to take you through a practice to work with the imposter syndrome. Now, I know a lot of you have an imposter that lives inside of you and hijacks things whenever you try and step out of your comfort zone, whenever you're trying to do something new, perhaps when you're starting a new job or starting a business. I know it really showed up for me in the beginning of my coaching journey, and it still does sometimes. So the imposter is really interesting because everybody has one. And the other thing about it is it's actually a mechanism that's really ancient within our brains. It comes from the same part of the brain that wants you to survive, that wants you to live, that really wants you to do well. But the response has become a bit maladaptive since we're no longer in real danger. Thank goodness some people are, but hopefully if you're watching this video, you are safe. So it has to find other things to worry about because it still has to do its job of keeping you safe. I'm going to give you an example. Imagine the postman rings on the doorbell. I have a dog. My dog every single time will go running to the door, barking her head off, trying to warn me. And what do? Stop it! That's so annoying! Oh my God, why do you do that? Meeting it with resistance doesn't help, but we still do it. So it's the same thing. It's a maladaptive response. So she believes that she's in danger every time she hears that knock on the door because her brain is conditioned to do so. So she doesn't understand because logic and dogs don't really go together. So it's the same thing with the imposter. When these thoughts come up, it's that ancient part of your brain trying to warn you that you're in danger. But it can't just say, excuse me, I think you're in danger, because you wouldn't listen. It has to tell you things and feed you things that you will believe. And so we fall into the trap of believing whatever your thing is. You're not good enough, you're not qualified enough, etc., etc. So we're going to do a tapping practice today to really get into the imposter, a little bit of reprogramming around this so that the logical mind, the subconscious are both on the same page and understand that these thoughts very often aren't true. So if you're ready to get started, the best thing to do before we begin, give yourself a minute. Do one thing now that's going to make this experience more powerful for you. Now that could be closing the door, switching off your phone, closing the curtains, lighting a candle, whatever it is for you, getting an extra cushion, putting a blanket on. It's important that you're comfortable and you can really sink deep into this practice. So I'll give you a moment to do that now. And if you haven't done EFT before, what we're doing here is we're using acupressure points, mainly on the face, hands, and the chest here. And we're moving energy. We're also giving the monkey mind something to do. And we're using acupressure points to release. At the same time, we're going to speak about the issue and just allowing it to evolve. Now, if you want to go much deeper into this practice, I'd recommend a one-to-one session. That way you get your own personalized, tailored script. And the script in a session, in a one-to-one, will evolve anywhere from 3, 5, 6 times in a session, because that's how quickly it shifts. So it's much powerful doing this one-to-one, but it's really powerful doing it yourself as well. So because this is a kind of a generic script here, there may be little parts of it that don't necessarily apply to you. So if that happens and something doesn't feel true, it's really important that you don't say things that don't feel true, because you can't lie to the subconscious. So if something doesn't feel true, you can just miss it out and keep tapping, or you just say something else. That's it. Okay, I'm going to show you the points quickly before we start, if you haven't tapped with me before. I'm going to use something called a setup phrase, which is going to be, even though sometimes I feel like an imposter, I'm learning to love and accept myself. And we do the setup phrase on this part of the hand, called the karate chop point. We're going to do that 3 times before we start the practice. And then the next point we're going to use is the top of the head here. And I'm just tapping lightly with 2 fingers, but you can also rub the points, you can hold them, or you can tap them. Whatever feels good to you. So the next point is just the inside of the eyebrow. The outside of the eye, so not as far back as the temple, not right here, just kind of in the middle. You want to find that kind of bony eye socket bit here. Under the nose, on the cleft of the chin. Then just kind of around the collarbone and chest, wherever feels good to you. You can also do this with 2 hands or 1 hand, and you can do either side. Now, as long as you're roughly hitting these spots, there is no way to do this wrong. So don't overthink it. So are you ready to go? Let's tap. Side of the hand. Take a really deep breath in. Release it. And let's get started. Even though sometimes I feel like an imposter, you just repeat after me. Even though sometimes I feel like an imposter, I'm learning to love and accept myself. Even though sometimes I feel like an imposter, I'm learning to love and accept myself. Even though sometimes I feel like an imposter, I'm learning to love and accept all parts of myself. So starting on the top of the head. I feel like an imposter. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm incompetent. Keep thinking I'm going to get caught out and seen for what I truly am. I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like I'm not qualified enough and that other people can do this better than I can. I'm just waiting for everyone to see through me. I don't always feel confident, and I wish I did. Because I really feel like this is holding me back. Even when I receive good feedback, my mind will rationalize or find ways to reject it. I'm constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. Waiting to be caught out. Waiting to fail. I don't want to fail. I don't like that feeling of being caught out. I don't like not feeling good enough. I don't like feeling like an imposter. Even though I feel like an imposter sometimes, I know that this is my mind at work. We've all got parts of our mind that are designed to keep us safe. This part of the mind's job is very simple. It's here to keep me safe. And it's wired into my biology. From millions of years of evolution, this part of my mind is doing its job. Stopping me from getting hurt. Protecting me. And when it comes to imposter syndrome, it's the exact same impulse as that ancient protective part of the brain. It's the same impulse on overdrive. This is a maladaptive threat response. And it's triggered by starting something new, taking a risk, or stepping outside of my comfort zone. The mind only likes what's familiar. If it's familiar, it means we've survived it before. So when I try something new, it freaks out my mind a little bit. Even though I know what I'm doing isn't actually dangerous. It's not a threat to my life. This part of my brain hasn't updated its software. And it's still millions of years old. So it can't simply tell me that I'm unsafe, because I wouldn't listen. My logic would override it. So this part of my mind feeds me with more logical thoughts instead. Things like, maybe you're not good enough. You're going to fail. You're going to embarrass yourself. It knows that these thoughts will get my attention. So reminding myself now that having an imposter is really common. Most people have this sometimes. So rather than judging it or allowing it to take over and believing these thoughts when they come, I can say to myself, thank you, brain. Thank you for doing your best to keep me safe. I wouldn't be here without you. I wouldn't have survived millions of years of evolution without you. I'm genuinely grateful and appreciative of you. But I've got this and I'm not in danger. I'm going to be okay. These thoughts aren't necessarily true. They're just outdated warnings. I'm more capable than I think I am. I'm probably underestimating myself. So I'm giving myself permission to feel more confident, to lean into self-trust, and to believe in myself a bit more. And when these thoughts come that tell me I'm not good enough, I can recognize them for what they are and turn down the volume. And instead, just keep doing what I'm doing. Keep leaning into that confidence and self-trust. Okay, and dropping the hands down, and I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose, all the way in until your lungs are completely full. And exhaling through the mouth, just letting all of that go. One more time, breathing in through the nose, all the way in until your lungs are full, and releasing with a sigh this time, until your lungs are completely empty, breathing all of that air out of your lungs. And one more time, a big inhale through the nose, and hold, and let it go. And just staying with your eyes closed for a moment. Just notice how your system's feeling after that practice. Notice how your thoughts are. Maybe they're a bit quieter. Maybe they've changed. And just offering yourself a word of thanks for showing up for yourself and doing this practice today. Slowly opening the eyes and coming back into the space. Thank you for tapping with me today. I hope that was helpful and that you know you're not alone with the imposter. I think almost everybody I've ever coached or worked with has had the same issue. So we're all in this together. We're all probably doing better than we think we are. So just keep going, and I'll see you next time.